Hi guys, this is Kayla.
And this is Becky, and we're with a couple of these reads.
And this be also writes. So we've been doing our writer's tips as often as possible. But one that I wanted to touch on this week was a writer's tip for something to avoid, and that is avoiding the info dump. So I was recently on a panel with other writers, and we were asked the question, what is the biggest mistake you see from first-time authors? And I was like, well, they don't make their characters very likable anymore. And everybody else said, actually, no, it's the info dump. And once I thought about it, I agreed. So
I'm not sure I know what the info dump is.
an info dump is basically where you tell a whole bunch that you could have shown. It usually has to do with your character. So if you introduce your character on page 1 as her name is Sally. She has brown hair and green eyes, and she enjoys long walks on the beach, and she's on the rowing team at the University of Whatchamacallit. Like,
That's telling.
that's telling. You could instead write a scene in which the character is rowing. Maybe she looks into the water, sees her reflection. You could describe her organically rather than just dumping a lot of information on the reader.
Okay.
And I feel like every writer does this in a first draft, even the newbies. So I actually went into some old drafts of my work. I tried to find the original draft of Chase Harlem, but I apparently burned it, which is a good thing. But Did
I get the first draft?
No.
Okay, well then I don't. I was going to say I have several drafts.
It was so bad, Becky.
Okay.
All right.
She didn't even let me have it.
But the second draft, I found some examples of this. So Chase is this very sassy character, and it's harder for me, I think, when I'm writing first person, not info dumping, because, in daily conversation, you might info dump a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
So the first time I wrote Chase Harlem, on page 2, we get this humdinger here. My name is Joanna Chase Harlem. I'm a private investigator based in New Orleans, the jazz capital of the world. My clients, colleagues, and people I find generally annoying call me Detective Harlem. My friends call me Chase, and my mama calls me Joanna. Nobody, absolutely nobody, calls me Joe, Joey, Jojo, Jody, Ann, Anna, or any other stupid nickname you might manage to extract from the name Joanna. I've shot people for less. Where is there some humor here?
Yes.
Which, it's good to have humor in your writing. Ultimately, she's dumping a lot of information. It would have been better to have a scene where someone calls her one of these annoying nicknames and she's like, no, don't do that. It might have even been a funnier scene to have. This is information that can be expounded upon as the story continues. Even her saying, I'm a private investigator. I could show that. And in the newer version, I did. It begins, instead of her just, telling about herself, she's describing the streets of New Orleans, the scents and the atmosphere in the early morning hours. And it makes for a better introduction because instead of just saying, this is who this character is, I'm saying these are the things she enjoys about her hometown. And as a reader, you can look and say, yeah, I would like that in my hometown. Or, I've been to New Orleans and it does not smell like beignets.
No, it does not. Unless you're sitting in Cafe Du Monde or Cafe Beignet, then it smells like beignets.
But one thing I kind of wanted to focus on is, how do you prevent this in your writing? And just to be 100% honest, I don't know how to prevent it. I am the type of person that I get my idea, I outline it, and then I write. I power through it. So my suggestion would be, this is something to look through in your editing. In fact, this may be one of the first things you want to take a look at, is finding those instances when you are telling and not showing, when you are dumping a lot of information about your character, and spreading them out. My first draft of Chase Harlem told you every single bit about her backstory within the first few pages. It read almost like her resume. That's not what we want. So another suggestion might be, if you have the bad habit of doing this, which obviously I did, come up with a writing journal where you write down all this character information so you can reference it later and allow it to form organically in your writing. So that would be my advice for the day of avoiding the info dump. Just edit that. Let that be the first thing you edit for when you go through and edit. And keep that character journal so you don't lose that information, because at the end of the day, what newer authors are probably doing is just trying to get all their great ideas on the page and tell the reader, you should like this character because we're going to like your character if they're well written.
Right.
So if you let us get to know them as we would get to know a best friend, that's going to be the key to making us love your character. So avoid the info dump. Edit for those mistakes. When you are editing, if you use the 5 senses in dramatic scenes, that'll also help you with the showing and not telling. And those are my tips for today. So go write, guys.
Very interesting.
Bye.
Bye.